Welcome to Gyaniketan Girls School. Hello students, I am Arti Sharan. Today I am going to discuss the summary of chapter 5 of Beehive. The name of the chapter is The Snake and the Mirror, written by B.M. Bashir. His full name is Wakam Muhammad Bashir. He is fondly known as Bepur Sultan. He was an Indian independence activist and writer of Malayalam literature. He was a writer, humanist, freedom fighter, novelist, and short story writer. He was born on 21st January 1908 and died on 5th July 1994. His famous movies are Matilukal, Bhargavi Nilayam, Balkala Sakhi, etc. He is an Indian writer. The Government of India awarded him the fourth highest civilian honor of the Padma Shri in 1982. He had also been given many awards like Valathal Award, Kerala Sahitya Academy Fellowship, and the Kerala State Film Award for Best Story. This story he has written about a homeopathy doctor. This is a short humorous story about a doctor's encounter with a snake. The doctor and his friends are discussing the topic of snakes. The doctor, who is a homeopath, asks his friends if any of them ever had an encounter with a snake. No one said that they had. He then tells them about the experience with a cobra. He tells his friends about a time when he was still establishing his practice and had no money. In those days, he had rented a small outhouse which had a ceiling, just a tiled roof above his head. There was no electricity. The small room had two windows. It was infested with rats, which made a continuous noise. That evening, he had returned after dinner to his room. It was hot and so he could not sleep. He went out to take in fresh air, but it was a still night and there was no wind. So he came in again and sat on a chair and pulled out a book. He then happened to see the mirror on the table. He was tempted to take a good look at himself. Various thoughts crossed his mind as to how to look more handsome so that people would notice him. Since he did not have a good practice, he decided he would marry a doctor who had a good practice. He also imagined he should marry a fat wife so that if he felt the need to run away from her at any point of time, she would not be able to catch him. And really, means to the contrary, she was thin. His wife was quite thin, like a sprinter. His mind was filled with all sorts of crazy thoughts since he could not sleep. Just then he realized that the usual sounds of rats on the beam could no longer be heard. Instead, there was a dull thud as if a rubber tire had fallen on the floor. As soon as he turned around to see what it was, he saw a snake climb up his shoulders and on to his left arm. It was a cobra. The doctor froze in his place. The snake coiled itself on his left arm tightly as if to drain all his energy. Just then, the snake happened to look into the mirror. As soon as it did that, It uncoiled itself and moved towards the mirror as though it wanted to admire its own beauty. The doctor immediately fled from the scene and went to one of his friend's house. There, he rubbed some oil on his body and took a shower and changed his clothes as well. The next day, the doctor went to his room with the idea of vacating it. But when he reached the place, he realized that someone had stolen all his belongings. Only he had left his dirty vest behind. So, his old friends got very amused to hear this humorous story. I have given you the summary. In next video, I'll give you the question answer.